Andrew, how's it going?
Morning, sir. Yeah, it's a good indication of what we're talking about, that we can phone each other up and say, let's have a chat at 11 o'clock on a Sunday morning rather than watching my little boys play football in the freezing cold. So thank you for saving me from that.
Oh, no, pleasure. And I'd love to be able to save you this evening from Spurs getting destroyed, but I can't guarantee that in terms of Man City.
No, I'm afraid God himself couldn't help Tottenham at the moment.
So what have you been up to since the Indava hackathon that we were very kindly invited to be at judges at?
Yeah, I mean, look, it was still massively inspiring, and I came back to Liverpool where there's a lot of conversations around AI, as there is in everywhere at the moment. And as I posted on LinkedIn, there's a lot of fluff, a lot of BS around AI. And for me, what was inspiring about the Endava event was the fact that it was genuinely authentic use of AI to deliver something tangible, in this case, improving patient outcomes. And I think that's where we were both absolutely loved being there for those 2 days, didn't we? And watching a challenge being discussed, debated, and then delivered against. And the three teams did a wonderful
Yeah.
job. And that's what I came back and told everyone at the poke offices. I was like, look, when anyone's talking about AI, we need to hear about tangible solutions.
I love the discussed, debated, and delivered against. And like I was thinking, my mind was from a more surgical perspective, dissected, right? They literally, the level of depth they went into it and the community feel that you can see in all the posts afterwards. People are still interacting, still liking. I think Courtney did a fantastic job as well in terms of capturing the engagement and energy in the room and articulating it in a way that people that aren't even in the country potentially are looking at and seeing. And I've certainly learned a lot from that thread. And it kind of carried through into the last week as well, because this week was quite a busy one. Lots of travel, lots of filming, lots of making content. And again, as you said, AI it's being spread and sprayed into everything. So I think I carried some of those reflections with me. And it was also particularly relevant from a misinformation piece. But I'd love to pick up one comment that you made. You were really the last one of these lives, proper lives that I did on a Sunday. You were quite vocal in the comments about social media and banning phones, and any updates from your view on that?
Yeah, it was a really interesting article you posted, and I loved all the conversation that was going on there. I suppose I approached it from two perspectives. The first one was as a marketeer. I don't think it's great to see any government trying to moderate or define the use of communications. And as a parent, I certainly do not believe that my behavior as a parent should be judged or moderated by a government. I allow my two boys access to the internet. I allow them to use AI. I allow them to use all the wonderful technology that wasn't available for me. And my
Yeah,
15-year-old who's doing his GCSEs now, the utilization of AI by him to understand how to score well on an exam paper is vastly different to the learning I had,
it's.
which was learn all the facts and data. So he's
I was
actually
going to
getting
say,
contextual information. It's great.
it's a great leveler, isn't it? And it democratizes it. And I think one of my reflections from this week is so Dr. Renee Rust, who was chairing the Digital Pharma Advances Congress, was talking about how it's becoming more multi-paragraph prompts, and that's important. And I've always thought from the beginning of this that rote learning that you talked about, the passive brute force attack of medical school that I had to do as an undiagnosed dyslexic, no longer relevant. It's the questions that you ask, and it's combining the data sets in different ways to keep creative, novel solutions. So yeah, completely with you on that.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a great point you raise about equality as well. I was fortunate enough to go to a boys' grammar school. Some of my friends went to quite a rough secondary school in Halifax. So the difference in teaching, the difference in learning, the access to content to learn was vastly different and unfairly different. Whilst I think what I've been seeing, how Jamie's been using it, anyone can access it, and that's the beauty of what we've got now. Of course, open access leads to its problems. But I think the benefits far outweigh some of these headlines that have been pulled through that was in the article that you talked about, which I just think were alarmist and provocative for no reason.
Yeah, no, thanks, Andrew. And I think that I was cycling around yesterday and I saw a lot of adverts in terms of, I think they were predominantly from TikTok, and there were physical billboard adverts saying, look, you can now limit your screen time and set an alarm and parental controls and all this sort of stuff. So I think there has to be a space, and we're almost at time, but it does remind me of a slide that I talked about with Vernon on stage and Natasha at the Next Medical Festival, which was, I titled it "The Tortoise and Hare of Regulation versus Innovation." And when these are out of sync, people's health is what ultimately suffers. So I'll put that in the comments. Any final words?
Look, final word is exactly what I'm very passionate about, which is the power of authenticity. And I think that everything that we talk about, you've got to have honest conversations, whether that's a pharma company engaging with a HCP, whether that's an agency engaging with their clients, whether that's people talking to people. We live in a time where everything can get checked and reviewed and analysed. And so smoke and mirrors or hiding information or trying to manipulate people is not the world that we want to live in, and it's certainly not the world that is going to lead to success. So I do think, Kish, everything you were talking about on stage with Vernon and Natasha was great to hear, because I think it leads into that conversation around the power of authenticity is key to great marketing.
Andrew, thanks so much for your time, especially on a Sunday morning.